There we go. Good evening and welcome to the Parks and Rec Commission for Oakdale, Minnesota. It's November 19th. We're 7 o'clock and we're at the Oakdale City Council chambers. We are calling this meeting to order. Jeff, could you take roll call, please?
Commissioner Cunningham,
Here.
Commissioner Giacoletto,
Here.
Commissioner Giannani,
Here.
Commissioner Meyer,
Here.
and Commissioner Shore.
Here.
Commissioner Berth, not present. I don't see him here, so. Okay, we will.
Okay. Thank you. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Commission, did you have a chance to look at the agenda
Yes.
for today?
Yes. Yes.
Can I get approval for the November 19th agenda? Motion, please.
I'll motion.
October 15th.
Glenn, motion. Jan, second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Approval of minutes. Everyone get to look at last month's. Any questions, discussion? Can I get a motion to approve the October 15th, 2024 minutes?
I'll motion.
All right. Jen has
I'll
motion.
second.
Jan second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. All right. Now we go to an open forum. This opportunity for anyone in the audience to share. Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Very good. That was a quick open forum. We'll close the forum at this point. Okay. Now we're going to go into old business. Work plan, commission, education, recreation program. Jeff, you got anything on that?
I'm looking here through Julie's notes. Bear with me.
You have some program assignments?
Yeah, 2024, the work plan, Commissioner Education, the monthly Commissioner Recreation Program assignments, Recreation Superintendent, that was Julie's stuff. I don't see anything here as of right now underneath it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything. There's nothing in the packet that she,
Yeah. I know that, yeah. Commissioners, anything you want to test on? You good? All right, okay.
I guess I went to the opening indoor market last weekend.
Okay.
It was a great turnout. I thought I was gonna have to park on the street. And it's on my calendar to go to the art fair this Saturday.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I'll have to get that in. I think I'm marked for the indoor market too, so I'll get out there. Okay, let's get on to new business. The park system plan update. Hannah, could you come on up?
Yes, thank you for having us this evening. As a reminder, my name is Hannah Dunn. I'm with the city, and Stuart Crosby here is with SRF Consulting. Tonight, we'd like to provide a brief update about where we're at with the project, and then we'd also like to gather your input on concept plans. We won't be able to walk through all of the parks this evening, so our goal is to at least discuss the community parks, and then we'll open it up to any specific parks that commissioners would like to focus on. And then we'll just get the slides up. In your packet, one of the first slide had a summary of the community engagement that was done as part of this plan. There we go. So we engaged the general public through 3 different surveys and various pop-ups at the indoor market, the farmers market, and Summerfest. We also made the intentional effort to engage volleyball players. So the evenings of August 7th and 8th, we found various groups playing volleyball at parks and had discussions with them about what they'd like to see in the park system. We also had a pop-up at Tanner's Lake where we engaged basketball players, pickleball players, flag football families, and other park users. For stakeholder engagement, we met with the Oakdale Athletic Association and the Oakdale Wellness 50 Plus group. And then lastly, we engaged City Council and commissions, EDC, you guys, the Environmental Management Commission throughout the spring and the summer. This slide highlights the reach that we had through our online and in-person engagement. We received over 400 responses for the survey that was put out for the 27 parks, not including Tanner's Lake. The Tanner's Lake survey received over 200 responses, and then at in-person events, we engaged over 400 people. The detailed survey results and the in-person engagement summaries, those were provided to you under separate covers, so they're not part of your packet, but they were provided to you. So if you had a chance to look at them, you got to see all of the feedback that we received as part of our community engagement effort. Now we're at the point in the project where we're taking all this feedback in addition to council direction, and we're starting to fine tune and revise concepts so that we can come up with a preferred concept for each park to include in the plan. Since the summer engagement phase ended, the project team has been to 2 fall council workshops where council members gave initial direction on 17 parks. That's a lot of parks, and we won't be able to walk through all of them this evening. Like I said, our goal is to at least discuss community engagement parks. Stuart will come up in just a short bit to walk through the concept plans, some of the common themes we heard from engagement, our project team recommendations, and then the council direction that we received. And then each park will offer an opportunity for you to give additional input on the park concepts. And then if commissioners need a refresher, community parks are, those are kind of our cornerstone parks. They serve to meet the community-wide needs. There's typically gathering shelters, multiple sports courts, and athletic fields. And then in the packet attachment, we have the park classifications. So neighborhood parks, natural resource parks, and special use parks are also defined. And each park classification has all of the parks listed that fall under it. So now I'll invite Stuart to come up and start walking through some of the concepts, and we'll open it up for your feedback.
Thank you, Hannah. As Hannah said, my name is Stuart Crosby. I'm a landscape architect with SRF Consulting Group. We've been really excited about the process, the park planning process that we've been going through. One thing I wanted to mention, I mentioned this to council, and just following up on what Hannah was showing, we've been so impressed with the public input that we've received through this process. The number of people that have engaged either in person but primarily online has been really outstanding. We don't typically see this much response and this much input, so I think that the city should be very pleased with the input that we as a community and as a process have received. And I think it's definitely helping and benefiting this planning process. So the community parks, we want to start first with Northdale Park. We put together this initial concept that you can see on the screen here and that you have in your packet. Some of the common themes that we heard, as you can see here, one of our recommendations is replacing the hockey rink with volleyball. We had several conversations with staff about this hockey rink. This is one of the more challenging ones to maintain, and there's a real desire for a set volleyball location, so this seems like a really good opportunity for that. Another key theme is to upgrade the playground and some trails and sidewalks around it for accessibility purposes, and then another desire to add trails around the park. What we're recommending for updating the concept that you see right here, the graphic doesn't quite show it properly. We show that yellow or gold band on the outside of the ball fields. We want to remove that. That really is just representing a warning track, which we wouldn't want to put in this field just because it takes away that multi-use purpose. Right now, this field can be used for soccer as well and open sports, and so we'll remove that. But we do like the idea of the dash line on the south side of the park would be a paved trail or access way out to that east field so that you get an accessible access way out there. Otherwise, no real changes to this concept. And on the next page in the packet are some of the directions that we received from council They have also, they also support the project team recommendations, keeping the amenities as we're proposing. They like the idea of removing that warning track so that it clearly demarcates a large open field that can be used for multi-purpose activities as well. So, any questions,
Yes,
Commissioner?
Stuart, I know I'm in the minority of this, and I always have been with these fences, okay?
Yeah,
I think we should look into removable fences somehow. It is at this age on some of these, the fences are nice for these kids, and it will draw tournaments here between Walton here and Northdale. We have 6 nice fields for some tournaments with fences, and that will draw in some big tournaments that we could get into with OA and other smaller tournaments. So that's something, I don't know how that's feasible, to
Sure.
just in the spring or summer, have some fences, take them down for soccer time.
so really you're talking about like outfield fences?
Outfield
Okay,
fences.
yeah,
So
all right.
I don't
Make
think
note
we
of
need a
that. Yeah.
warning track per se,
Right,
but
yeah.
just to get those fences in there. And then on the north side here, where the residential area is,
Yeah,
on the first field, is we get a lot of foul balls into those yards. And same with the other one into the woods in the right field line. So is there something, we've talked about putting some screens up before the big netting? And I know it's rather spendy, I understand, but that's something too that we might want to look at and
I believe we,
find that.
yeah, no, that's a good point. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
But we have talked about, and I think it's in the finer details of the plan, to add some fencing behind those fields so that it keeps the balls out of the woods.
Okay,
So, yeah, we'd certainly look at that for along the community as well, on
Okay.
that side. Yeah.
okay,
Because I remember that was a conversation topic that came up, has actually come up a couple times through our engagement. So,
good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
So I,
thank you. Good input. Okay. How about any other Northdale Park comments or questions? If not, we,
It was kind of hard to see the corner by ball field 2 there. Is the archery still going to be back there?
yes, archery is going to remain there.
Okay.
We did have conversation about if there's another place that archery could go, but this seems to be a really good place. And as we looked around the system, probably the best place for archery, and we didn't want to remove that. So yeah, that stays. And the other benefit of this is that adding that dash line that you see, which is really proposing a paved trail, would allow for an accessible access route out there, which is needed. Accessibility has been one of the key themes throughout this whole process for all parks.
great.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. So, I didn't realize, I guess I should have realized we have, here are the council directions. So the next park is East Side Park. And with East Side, we got some strong feelings on East Side here. The common themes that we heard were to keep the tennis courts and pickleball striping rather than replacing them with the smaller ball fields or soccer fields that you see right there. Our recommendation was to try to get a few more soccer fields in the system, and we heard pretty loudly from a number of angles that this tennis facility is one that's desirable. So our recommendation is to keep the tennis courts there and improve the pickleball striping. As I mentioned earlier, accessibility improvements and more and improved playground equipment is also something that people are interested in at this park. So the council direction and support is for recommendations not to move the tennis courts, and they want to keep the dedicated open space for volleyball or other sports as well. So, which we essentially have in this plan, kind of in a couple of different areas.
Where would the volleyball open space be?
So if you look at this, there's really, if it's not being used as a field, you've got kind of the northern part up here as one, and then the other area would be kind of right adjacent to the fields here. The tricky part with volleyball, as we've talked about before, is the stakes and not puncturing any irrigation and trying to keep those ball fields from getting trampled in certain areas. And so if there isn't going to be a dedicated location for multi-use sports, and you'll see that in a couple of these other options, then I think the outer outfield of the baseball area, baseball field would probably be the best.
I was just gonna say that, because that's where they set up 3 nets across this field right now.
Yeah.
And it's great to see them out there, don't get me wrong,
Yep.
but if we can designate the outer outfield somehow.
And I think one of the thoughts I have is that if we're starting to identify more locations for dedicated volleyball, and then also areas that are set up so that they can use that without really interfering with other fields, I'm hoping, and I think the thought is that they'll migrate to those locations.
Yep.
So, which would take some of the pressure off of these fields that have irrigation and other elements that can get hurt.
On the expanded playground on each side, are there any plans on that at all right now, or just designated areas?
Just designated areas, yeah. We haven't gotten into the level of detail for that. And as we go through into our cost estimating, typically we'll look at different types of playgrounds for the younger kids or the older kids, and we'll put costing towards those. But then you get into the finer details that happens really when you're getting into design development and designing those components. And that's not necessarily part of a plan at this level. Yeah.
So this new walkway, is it gonna be better lit, or do you know anything?
Probably, we probably won't be adding lighting along the trails.
Okay.
We'll have to use lighting that's in the area along the street or in the park or adjacent to it. I mean, you certainly can, it just adds a lot of cost and maintenance, yeah. Yeah, good question, yeah.
I have a question for you. There is a small parking lot there,
Yes, yeah.
and when you get all the baseball and all that going on, they're parking on the street,
Yeah,
and coming across from 18th over to the East Side Park. I've suggested this on different surveys before, but a crosswalk would be nice.
at the kind of mid-block there, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make note of that and see if we can add that. We have had, that's a good point, in a couple of our concepts where we have trail access, we have identified that as an interest. So we can certainly add some comment about that too. That's a good point, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Is the Part B, the realigned trail connection, kind of on the west entrance to the park? Is that, so realigned, does that mean like more ADA? Because if I recall, it's a pretty steep,
Yeah, that is a kind of a steep entrance, and that would be one of those locations that we recommend for an accessibility improvement there. So curb cut, truncated domes, and then if possible, given the grades, to try to ease that slope right there, that grade, yeah. All right, any other questions on, great, good comments.
Thank you.
Okay, so Richard Walton Park, this one wins the prize for the most comments received throughout the process. And some of the common themes that we heard, keep the tennis courts and pickleball. Oh, sorry, I was on the wrong one here. So there has been a real interest in adding a water feature, a splash pad at this park. There's also a real interest in a designated volleyball area. Playground gets a lot of use, not surprisingly. That's an area that people would like to see improvements as well. And there's a real interest in adding and putting in that loop trail that we're showing so that there is more walking available that's not on the street. And the other thing that did get a lot of input, positive input, is the new pinwheel that you see down there. And we know that means a loss of a soccer field, but it is going to improve the opportunity for tournaments and a lot of other options for the ball field sports that get a lot of use here. So those are some of the key themes that we heard, and our recommendations are to try to figure out where we could put an artificial volleyball turf in here, and other than that, no changes to a lot of the amenities in here. The racket courts get used a lot, and in conversation with council, it's really good discussions with council about this. Their feeling is to not put the water play feature in the Walton Park concept plan right now and find another location. We'll talk about that in a minute. To leave the trail loops in, especially looking at the one around the pinwheel, and we have to make sure that that's actually feasible because that comes so close to the wetlands and the lake right there. So we're taking a closer look at that, although I think that is probably feasible. It may not be a 10-foot or 12-foot wide trail, but it could be something a little smaller. Southwest side of the park, to see if there's a better layout for that area. That area doesn't get a lot of use. It has parking there. As you can see, we're proposing the volleyball facility down there, and we're trying to figure out if there's a better way that area could be used. A couple things that they'd asked is to make sure that one of the tennis courts is dedicated for tennis, and that the pickleball overlays go on the other two. So just keep one as true tennis courts. And then in the northeastern portion of the park over there, to find a different location for the what are we calling that? The
Fitness court?
fitness court, yes, exactly. Yeah, right there, you can see it down there. So some real interest in the facilities that are at Walton Park right now, and improvements to those, really trying to get more playground facilities, improve some of the baseball diamonds and walkways. Accessibility is another really key component here. And the other thing that came up at Walton, but at a lot of the other parks, is to look at drainage in the fields. A lot of the fields, see a lot of nodding in here, but especially at Walton and a couple of others, drainage is a real challenge. And so seeing if there's a way to improve drainage with drain tile and other elements. Any comments or questions on Walton?
I really like the new pinwheel.
this
Excuse
is-
me, Jan. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, just, I don't know if it's a comment or a question, or throughout all these parks, when you're saying the water park,
Water feature?
water
Yeah.
feature, whatever you want to call it, we've done some financials on that way back in the past, of not only to set it up, but to continue on with upkeep and making sure the water is safe and not contaminated and all that.
Yeah.
But in doing these surveys, I didn't see anything about that financially. And so I think that's important to kind of let us know somewhere in the ballpark of where we would be, for taxpayers' purposes and all that.
So in terms of what it would cost to install a water park or a water
Not only
feature?
install, but to
maintain it?
Maintain.
Sure, yeah. We will be adding some of that. We'll have to add that into the actual plan itself. The splash pads have gotten a lot more efficient, I would say. They now have kind of standalone units that you can put right next to it. So the cost, although they are expensive, they have come down, and it also depends on how big of a facility you're looking at. There's the two different options, and we can get into some of the differences, as you know, the flow through and then the recirculation. So
Yeah, I mean, it all sounds good until you look at, what we're going to be paying to not only do it, but maintain it.
right, yeah. But they also, I think, one thing that we note is that they are less to maintain than a pool facility. You don't have to have lifeguards with them. And then the other thing is that people really are wanting these. These are a water feature that people are desiring, and they're going elsewhere if they're not available. So that's some of the feedback we heard. But I think your points are well taken, and we will definitely be putting the costs in there for that, for installation and for annual maintenance. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to say, I like the new pinwheel. I think it's fabulous. It's the way it should be designed, as always, right? One thing is where you had that little volleyball court by the OA shed there.
Yeah.
What I'd like to see, and this goes way back too, is instead of that, it's a perfect location for outdoor batting cages for our kids. If we could put something like that there, that'd take care of the softball and the baseball in that area. We talked about that a long time ago when I was with OAA, but yeah, I think that's a great spot because that's their shed. That's where teams show up for meetings once in a while. So we might look at that,
Okay, yeah, thank you, that's a good point.
yeah.
Good input.
And I don't know if you could move that volleyball court to where that fitness court was, or if it's too close to the road, I'm not sure. Yeah, what the spacing is there.
Yeah, and one of the other challenges with that is it's underneath the power lines, and so as part of the power easement, putting in an expensive facility, there has to be access full-time for that. So it's very close to the road and it's underneath the power lines. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Are we doing on time? We got to hurry up here. All right, so the next one here is for Tanner's Lake Park. Tanner's came in second in terms of overall, actually, maybe it was pretty close to tied for overall comments. And Tanner's has, we had a couple of different concepts, and as you can see with this one, some of the common themes, this is the one that we're really focusing on. Pickleball is really heavily used here, a lot of interest in that. Upgrading the building that is at the park right now is something that people would really like to see, making up more of a usable space and a facility that can be rented. We are proposing reducing the size of the beach and adding a water play feature to this park rather than at Walton, and improving the playground by adding a couple of different, a smaller kid playground, a larger kid playground, and utilizing some of the slope for it as well. That is a real exciting feature for playgrounds, especially with kids. There were concerns about lighting and safety, so that is something that we want to add into this park. We are, oh, sorry, that was me. We're moving forward with some of the concept improvements that were put forward in these common themes, but the council really supported the central shelter and putting a different shelter in there that can be used by volleyball and basketball and tennis and pickleball. Right now in that area of the park, there isn't any place to get out of the sun or if there's inclement weather, and so putting in at least one shelter in that location would be really nice. We'd also like to have another shelter that could be a rentable structure separate from the main building that's by the beach. Fishing and lake access, we want to move the fishing pier to the north side of the park. And I think council's suggestion here of having a kayak launch near the relocated fishing pier, and then fishing nodes that we're showing there, replacing those with benches so that there are access points along the park. And it's probably, see if we can get that right here. These facilities right here that we put in were really stones for fishing. And we're trying to make locations where people can see and view the lake. And so the one recommendation was to remove those and put benches in or close to that. So getting people the opportunity to be closer to the lake, but keeping the fishing at the fishing pier. So I think in summary, smaller beach, move the fishing pier, improvements to the building, water feature, pickleball, dedicated volleyball facility with artificial turf, and then also ball field improvements here would include drainage. So that's another key component. Commissioner Cunningham.
Yes, improving the building, meaning,
So the building right now has one community room, and then it has that hallway down the middle that really is getting a lot of bird activity in there and makes it not really beneficial. What our recommendation is going to be is to work with an actual architect to see what is feasible. But what we are thinking is that you could enclose that hallway space and make a really nice rentable room. You'd have floor-to-ceiling windows, great view of the lake. That would be a great opportunity for renting it out. You have the kitchen, and then what was the lifeguard room. That could be turned into a catering kitchen that somebody could rent out that space and have the beautiful full ceiling room, and then also a catering kitchen. So potentially making two rentable facilities or rooms out of that one building right there.
not expanding the building or anything.
Not expanding
just
the building.
Going with
Yeah.
what is there and
Yeah.
building, like,
Exactly.
Modified.
Repurposing
Yeah.
what's there, yeah.
okay.
The other thing I forgot to mention is that proposing some parking, putting in a parking lot on the west side there, where right now there's just the turnaround. That would really benefit this whole western part of the park, especially where that building is, to put in about a dozen or so spaces right there. Hannah, what do you think of time? Let's see, Jonathan's back here.
On concept two, Stuart.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any beach areas. Is that what's happening there?
It's very small. It's right here, this small little thing. It's right next to the J right there. But we were proposing that would really be the smaller sand area. So very small and minute, and really almost more used for just launching kayaks and things like that. Yeah. And then the idea would be that you'd have the water feature, you'd have the splash pad that would be more associated with the building and the playground right there. And having a repurposed building, a new playground, and that splash pad, I think would be a real nexus for families and groups with smaller kids. And then you'd have the open area in front that would be managed turf right up to the lake. And what we're seeing is more interest in people wanting to use water features like a splash pad than a beach, especially when you have challenges with water quality and cooler temperatures on both sides of the season. So
I understand that. I think it's a shame that we have such a nice lake and not a beach. I really do. But I get the water quality. With your, with this, not the shed, but the
building?
the
park
building.
yeah.
What comes to mind is Casey Lake in North St. Paul. If you've ever been out there, they got that nice building where people have, cripes, they have big parties, retirement parties, birthday parties. It's a big shelter, cookout there. So haven't been there. I suggest get out there and take a look at that just to get a vision of. That's pretty nice. It's a very nice area. Yeah, I kind of like the fishing nodes. I'm a fishing guy, but I can see where I just want to sit. Yeah, I suppose you can sit on a bench.
What are you calling that?
Fish too.
Casey Lake?
Casey Lake.
Casey Lake.
Yeah.
It's over on
North St.
17th.
Paul. Yeah, yeah.
It's a beautiful, they took an old building and they changed it into it's a venue. It's
Yeah.
rented for weddings and it's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
it's
very
Where is that?
nice. It's very
What
nice.
area is it considered?
It's North St. Paul.
North St.
It's
Paul.
just west of 17th and McKnight in North St. Paul. If you go to Whiteberry, you went halfway too far.
Yeah.
It's between Ariel and McKnight.
Okay.
I think this building actually is in really good shape. It just needs to be repurposed, and with a bit of love and direction, you
Needs
could
some
really have,
TLC.
yeah, you could have something that people would like. And I think adding parking nearby would help it a lot too.
I love the idea for that building and having everything else nearby it. Like you said, incorporating the slope into the playground and the play features I go to playgrounds all over the cities, and it's so fun, going the up and down and,
Yeah. And there's great opportunity here for that, I think, too.
yep.
All right.
All right, well, let's move on. The last one here that for these community parks is Goose Pond Park. Goose Pond, we thought about a lot, and it's an important park for the ball fields that are there. Our recommendations were to try to improve the park by keeping the geese away from the ball fields, and that's harder said than done. But what we were recommending was to expand the kind of goose zone, as you call it, like the no-person zone, which would be between the lake and the fields, and we could put in some fencing and whatnot. That's, I think, a good opportunity there, but what we heard from the community and we heard from the council is, yes, do that, but don't take away the open space there that can be used for soccer. And so we're going to be modifying this concept to reduce that buffer, so you still have a sizable enough buffer, but not to impact any of the ball field or playing spaces there. So really trying to improve this park by helping to manage the goose population just by giving them their space and making more of a barrier so that we can keep them off. They want to be where the water is, and if there's no barrier, they're going to be all over the places they are now. So hopefully with creating more barrier, we can keep them isolated to one side of the facility and not the whole thing.
Challenging.
It's a challenge everywhere, yes, it is.
I have a question pertaining to, again, all the parks and changes. What we've already decided to happen to some of these parks, does that continue, like into like what we've decided for 2025 and 26, 27, 28? Or are we pretty much gonna say we're revising everything at this point?
No, that's a very good question. What we will be doing is putting together cost estimates for each of these parks, for all the parks, to describe what it's going to cost to make the recommended improvements. And then we will put together a phasing plan so that the city has an understanding of our recommendation for how to move forward with all of these improvements. Noting that it's going to be, if you add everything together, it's going to be a very hefty price tag. And there are some elements that probably are desirable, but are going to be put out many years because it's just, there's other things that need to be done. And so we're going to be providing kind of a step-by-step basis of things that can be done sooner and things that can be done later, but probably looking at a 10 to 15 or maybe even 20-year process there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think those are the 5 community parks. We do have a lot of other input from the other parks, and I would be happy to take that by email, maybe through Hannah. If you guys have other questions or suggestions, that might be the best way to do that. Because I know that there's another topic you guys have for discussion.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you very much for your
Appreciate
feedback.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it's me again. We're gonna now talk about Willowbrooke Parks West and North. There we go, up on the screen. So I'm here now with Jonathan from SRF Consulting, who SRF is the final design and construction administration consultant for the next 2 parks in the Willowbrooke development, Willowbrooke Park West and Willowbrooke Park North. At this meeting, we'd like to gather commissioner input on the concept alternatives that have been developed for these 2 parks. But before we discuss concept alternatives, I just want to walk through some of the project background, just so we're all on the same page. As part of a 2021 master planned unit development agreement for the Willowbrooke neighborhood, the city is responsible for the construction of 3 parks. For those unfamiliar with the Willowbrooke neighborhood, this is the new residential development located north of 34th Street, east of 694, and west of Ideal Avenue. It's directly north of the Forefront campus. The neighborhood is expected to bring more than 1,400 housing units to Oakdale over the next 3 years. We're at 50% build out. 50% of the homes are either under construction or complete, and the neighborhood's first residents began moving in fall of 2022. Following the agreement to build 3 parks, the city did some initial parks data collection and public engagement in 2022 to better understand the best amenities and uses for these parks. And then in December 2022, the council approved preliminary concepts for Willowbrooke Commons and Willowbrooke Park West. As you all know, Willowbrooke Commons opened just over a month ago and is a premier park with pre-K and K-5 playground equipment, a challenge course, adult fitness equipment, multiple gathering shelters, misters, and a hammock area. And then the preliminary concept plan for Willowbrooke Park West included a U12 soccer field, pickleball courts, shade structure, open lawn picnic area, and a prefabricated restroom building. And then Willowbrooke Park North does not have an approved concept plan, but the park is envisioned as a passive park with open space, trails, and seating areas. SRF Consulting was hired in September of this year for final design and construction administration for both parks. And then the project schedule. Last month, a project team developed concept alternatives for both parks. We used the preliminary concept plan for Willowbrooke Park West, and SRF developed 2 different concept alternatives to explore different layouts and site details. And then using the direction that Willowbrooke Park North is a passive park, SRF developed 2 different concept alternatives that explore different layouts and seating areas. And then now we're in the process of public and stakeholder feedback about those concept alternatives to understand what residents and park users desire. And then using this feedback, this public feedback and feedback from the Parks and Rec Commission and as well as direction from the City Council, the project team will take these two different concept alternatives and produce one preferred concept. And then final design plans and construction documents will be developed based on that preferred concept. And then for Willowbrooke Park West, we're planning to go out to bid for a general contractor in winter of 2025. And then construction will begin in the spring of next year. Hopefully, the park will be completed by the fall of next year. And then North Park is on a different timeline in terms of construction. Plan design will occur next summer into the fall. We'll go out to bid for a general contractor winter of 26, and then construction is scheduled to begin in spring of 2026. I'll turn it over to Jonathan to walk through the concept alternatives and highlight the differences, and then once he's through with that, we'll open it up to discussion about what the Park and Rec Commissioners think.
Thank you, Hannah. I will gotta get my keyboard layout here. So like Hannah said, I'm going to walk through the park concepts for both West Park and North Park. I'm going to start off by overviewing concept A for West Park. And some of the key highlights here, just hitting on the main highlights of each park. Willowbrooke Park West, some of the key features here is we're showing a full trail around the park. So that goes around the whole soccer field and connects to the parking lot and also makes connections to the greater trail system of Willowbrooke, which is quite extensive, as you all know. In this concept, we're showing a combined restroom and picnic shelter located near the parking lot here. We're also, in this concept, we actually are showing, per like the conversation we were just having with the park system plan, a synthetic turf volleyball court here. And down in the south end here, we're showing 6 pickleball courts and with some seating amenities on the outside, on the north end and on the south end of the pickleball courts with just some simple bench seating. In this concept, we're only showing 6 pickleball courts, whereas when we get to concept B, we are showing 8 in that concept. And in this concept, we are also showing the buffer along the 694. In this concept, we're showing it as a chain link fence with privacy slats just to provide a little bit of buffer from the freeway there, which, the park actually does sit up, maybe 20 feet above the freeway. So it's not like it's right on grade, but we feel like providing some sort of buffer to that freeway is warranted given how close the trail is to the right-of-way. The other thing we are including in this concept is lighting for the U12 soccer field. And the soccer field is 165 feet by 240 feet, and that meets the size of the U12 standard size. And as you can see by the layout, that really is maxed out for this land resource that we have. We did orient to that north-south orientation for all the athletic amenities just to optimize the sun angle for athletic users. There is also athletic lighting for the soccer field, as well as lighting for the pickleball courts. And one thing that we will actually explore if this concept was to go forward with volleyball would be to adding a second head onto this light pole for the soccer field that would also point onto the volleyball court so that we're providing an equitable use of lighted amenities within the park. Moving on to Willowbrooke Park Concept B. This concept, the main differences here really are how we're dealing with one of the main differences is how we're dealing with the restroom and shelter building. In this option, we're showing, rather than having a combined facility, we're showing a separate restroom building that would have, similar to the other concept, it had two unisex stalls, which is showing up here in the northeast corner of the park. But instead of like in concept A where we show a combined shelter, we're showing a separate shelter building directly across the lawn space and really trying to orient both of these, both picnic shelter and the restroom building around this kind of informal picnic lawn space that really starts to frame up a nice space for park users to just have, just flexible picnicking. We also have, rather than doing a trail that goes all the way around the park, we are showing just a half loop trail around the park. And, part of the thought there is that by doing the half loop, we are able to have enough space to plant conifer trees that would buffer the 694 rather than the fence. We just needed that extra space for the trees to grow. We didn't want those to be overgrowing a trail or growing into the soccer field itself. This concept, the soccer field, is in more or less the same location as Concept A, slightly shifted to the east, again, to allow for space for the conifer trees, but very close in location. This concept, we are showing 8 pickleball courts, which the 8 courts was in the original concept plan that was approved back in December of 2022, sorry, get those dates mixed up. And this concept, we're showing central seating area for the pickleball courts with small shade umbrellas, so really providing that shade amenity for the pickleball court users. And again, we're also showing, like Concept A, athletic lighting for this facility. And I'm just going to jump now to Park North, and then we can just open it up for conversation on both, if that's okay with you guys. So Willowbrooke Park North, like Hannah was saying, this North Park is really envisioned as more of a passive park. So you'll see all of the amenities that are proposed in both of these concepts really are around just walking and enjoying nature, some open lawn space, and picnic kind of seating areas. So in Concept A, here we're really showing picnic areas with shade sails and picnic tables. And we're showing up here in the north corner of the park a shade sail amenity with some picnic tables to provide just informal seating, for the neighborhood residents to come in and have a picnic during the day. In this concept too, we're actually really trying to show more of a dispersed seating around the park. And when I get to Concept B, it's really more of a centralized shelter. So in addition, we also have 2 smaller shade umbrellas that would provide space for a single picnic table along 40th. We have a natural stone seating overlooking the pond in this native prairie. We also have, we are showing a east-west trail connection north of the existing pond. And really the intent there is to provide a full walking loop around the entire park amenity. And off of that, again, we have an pond overlook with simple chairs and benches that overlooks the existing pond. The last amenity that we're really showing for seating here is a natural stone block seating that kind of steps down the hillside into the main open lawn space. And that really would provide views of the wetland or the native landscape to the south of this site. Again, this concept, we're showing large swaths of native prairie, just to really keep in line with the vision of Willowbrooke as a neighborhood with a lot of open space and a lot of native prairie already that's being installed. So just trying to keep on with that vision. We are carving out a lawn space that's central to the park, and we feel like just providing some open lawn space is valuable for the neighborhood. Unprogrammed, just for neighbors to come, maybe throw a Frisbee, no athletic amenities that are programmed for the space, but more just passive use. Moving on to Willowbrooke Park North Concept B. Like I said, this concept really is, the main difference here is rather than showing multiple different seating nodes around the park, we're proposing that we would show, that we would build one picnic shelter, and rather than doing the shade umbrellas, which are that are a little bit more affordable, in this concept, we're just showing one shelter that it would be a steel shelter, which adds a little bit more cost, and therefore we wouldn't have the budget to do all the different shade amenities as shown in Concept A. But here we positioned the shelter on the south end by 40th, And we really positioned it so that it provides views overlooking the existing stormwater pond, as well as provides views for anyone who is using that open lawn space. And in this concept, rather than having the trail that provides a loop around the entire park on the north side of the pond, we're showing it really cutting more in the middle of the park, going north-south through the space here, and really trying to provide connections to the existing crosswalks on 40th, and then just providing, again, a full loop that would allow park users to walk around the perimeter of the park. And with that, I think I'll just open it up for any questions that you guys might have. Maybe we can start here with Park West.
Park West, I think we do need, I like the volleyball court. That seems to be very popular, so I have no problem cutting 2 of the paddleball courts down. Just fill me in a little background on why a U12 soccer field. What was the big, why that size and why that field, and what else can we use it for?
Yeah, so we actually, Hannah and I, we met with Oakdale Athletic Association last week, and we actually asked them that question of, hey, when we build this, what are you guys envisioning of using that facility for? And what we heard is they would plan to do flag football in the field. They would also plan to use it as a U12 soccer field, but also they would plan to use, for smaller kids, they would run the fields going more east-west here, so they would have 2 games playing on the same field. I'm not sure off the top of my head what youth level that field size would be, but
90 by 150.
90 by 150, yeah. So they were really excited about this field, and they also said that there could be potential maybe to play t-ball on this field, but that was more of an iffy. It was mostly flag football and soccer.
Could they also do flag football, like on a half court then?
Yeah. I think, the longer way would be, clearly a much larger field for flag football, but, you can play it. You don't have to have the full field to play flag football.
Right.
Yeah.
Then on both of these, the sail shades and the screens instead of the actual nice roof, metal roof. What's the chance of them getting torn down a lot easier, burnt? I know we had trouble with hammocks already, so this ain't a lot different.
Yeah, well, one thing I would say about the shade umbrellas is that is actually much more, when you compare it to the hammocks, these shade umbrellas are designed for public use, where much more of a durable fabric. If you feel the stuff that's out there at the Commons where we put in the shade umbrellas, those shade umbrellas are significantly thicker material, and obviously, if someone really wants to come out there with with a flame and burn it, it's going to burn, but it's not. From what I've seen, I haven't really seen a lot of people, since they're 8-10 feet above the ground. You'd have to be pretty motivated to get up there and vandalize it.
Steve, they're like a coated canvas. They're pretty nice. Yeah. Don't go up there now. We took them all down yesterday.
Yeah, and
I don't want you to be shocked if you go up there.
Somebody stole them already.
And the hammocks really were purchased as, just from a local retail store, and they weren't really park grade. Those are really more intended just to showcase what that bring your own hammock facility would look at the Commons. That really wasn't intended to be a permanent facility there. So that's why those, that wasn't really like park grade material there, whereas the shade umbrellas would be pretty durable. And one thing, like Jeff, he just already mentioned, that really prolongs the life of those is the Oakdale staff is already doing it. They take it down in the winter so you don't have that snow load, half of the year, which helps.
Yeah, we removed them to prolong the life of them, and if we got a heavy wet on the one, which just had the one standard, you get a heavy wet snow, and when we were up there with the installers, they said that's probably going to bend. So take them down. They're not going to be used in the winter, and we've never had them, so we were a little concerned on, okay, what is it? It took us maybe 10 minutes per structure. It was done. So they're pretty. It's a very user-friendly, simple install. Well, removal. I'm sure the install isn't much harder. So, yeah, they're pretty user-friendly. So they're very nice.
Great.
I guess I'm in agreement with Steve in that I like the idea of concept A. And, 6 versus 8 pickleball courts.
Yeah,
6 is still even a lot of pickleball courts, but I like the idea that there is another type of athletic activity that you can do there, having the volleyball court there. And as we were saying, I mean, I go by East Park Side Park all the time, and summer there's a lot of volleyball going on.
yeah.
So we know it's popular, and so I like the idea because I didn't really see anything else than on any other place in the area there, that this would be then the court that would be available to people. And I like that idea that having at least one versus none.
Yeah. No, that is, we've also heard that from a lot of other folks as well, that, really liking that variety of amenities that Concept A provides.
So I'll reiterate I liked having the volleyball court. Initially, I was going to say that I liked on concept B, excuse me, to not have the walking path go all the way around the field and have the row of trees. However, after you said having like 2 smaller games going the east and west, I'm thinking about moms coming with strollers. And so keeping the loop going all the way around for those smaller games that might occur there.
Yeah, basically providing more accessibility to the field.
Exactly,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah, and one thing too that we could look at is, in Concept A here, it is getting pretty compressed with land value, just trying to get all the components in here. But one thing we could look at is there opportunity to push the field farther to the east to allow that landscape buffer? Again, we would have to look at that spatially to see if that actually would work. But in an ideal world, that I think would be nice.
I would choose the accessibility over the trees
Yeah.
as a mom.
Okay, no, that's a good comment.
Yeah, that's great. I like that. I agree. Are we good on concept B there? Or West, Park West, want to move to Park North then? Anyone on that? I'm leaning at concept B. I like more of that trail coming through the middle of the area there too. I think, I just like the look of it. Seems to function all right. What's to keep people from playing volleyball on the grass there?
There's really,
Are we gonna have sprinklers in there?
there's no sprinklers. This is,
Oh,
again,
okay.
unirrigated. The one thing I think that would keep people is that, if you go to the site today, it is kind of graded like a big bowl. So it might not be the best level. As you get down, in this area here is fairly flat, but it's not necessarily going to be graded out as a level volleyball field. It's more of, volleyball court, you're going to be like 1.5% or 2%. This is probably more at like 3 or 4. So you still could, but it's not going to be a great level surface. Not that it's like steep here by any means.
No, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to push people away from volleyball, but
there's nothing to say.
in the grass, but it's just nice for families and they don't have to worry about, getting hit with a volleyball, whatever.
Yeah. Well, and that was talked about, do we show a synthetic court here? But, this, going back to what the intention, as Hannah already mentioned, of this park is really
Yeah.
more passive.
That's
So we
why
don't want to be showing, we don't want to be inviting dedicated volleyball.
Okay.
But if people come to play volleyball, that's not going to be like prohibited or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I wouldn't hit any irrigation if there was anything in there, so.
So I personally like concept A, being that it's being designed more as a passive park, having the separate seating. If I'm going to this park just to enjoy nature, reflect, I think I would want to sit maybe more by myself versus a gathering of picnic tables with other people trying to do the same.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my big reason I like
I do
Concept
like,
A.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's it.
I do like features of both, quite honestly. But one of the things I really do like is having the seating area there by the pond in A. That, again, people also like going to the parks for, just some contemplation and especially if you're overlooking a body of water. It's always, it's a very soothing thing. And though I do like, again, some of with the trail that's kind of bisecting the park in B. And so, like I said, there's some things that I almost like B, if you could incorporate, like sitting area for the pond from A, that sort of thing.
Well, that's, I should have clarified this too, that these aren't like either or. It's
Right.
the preferred concept very well could be a blend of both. So that's great comments that, that, yeah, seeing more of those seating nodes in concept B would be nice, but that trail alignment kind of we're liking.
Anyone else? Good. Great, thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah, and I'll pass back to Hannah.
Jonathan, one comment.
Oh, yes.
I did email you today. We do have power at the new park now.
Oh, nice.
So you knew that, but yeah, finally.
Before we wrap up, I just want to highlight some of the engagement that we've done. Like Jonathan mentioned, we met with the Oakdale Athletic Association last week. There's currently an online survey. The link is included in the packet, so if you got emailed a copy of the packet, you can click on that. I encourage you all to take that, to share it. It's open through Monday, the 25th. I think we already have almost 100 comments, so the more the better. Tomorrow we're meeting with the Pickleball Club. We also were at the indoor market this past Saturday, and we talked to about 60 people, shared the survey, got some feedback. And then next week, we will be at City Council, sharing all the engagement that we've received, and then receive some further direction on developing preferred concepts. So this is just screenshots of the survey. Like I said, I encourage you all to share that. And then my information's right here, so if you've got additional comments, please do not hesitate to send them to me via email.
Yeah.
Any final questions or comments before we?
Oh, one thing. Just, I like the whole, what we're doing, and there, we're getting there. But has anybody looked at, pickleball, volleyball, they're the rage. What's coming? And what do we have in here that could be new that we should plan for ahead? What's gonna be the new next sport? I looked, there's some called paddle. Have you heard of that? It's coming out of Wisconsin. It's like tennis and squash, but you got walls, but it's outdoor, and you just have walls and stuff like that. We got to look at,
What are you calling that?
it's
Steve?
called paddle, P-A-D-E-L. And, at the north end where Golfview is and the old golf course, you guys had on there the disc golf you were looking at, but foot golf is becoming more and more popular too. So these are things that I think, instead of just, this is hot now, and this is what we're gonna put in, well, what's gonna be hot in 10 years? So we don't have to redo some stuff, and maybe we're the ones that started. Oakdale's the one that, hey, we're ahead of the game. Just something, it wouldn't be bad to research what new trends are coming in and around. So.
Well, on that thought, Steve, I know Washington County has a disc golf portable set that they can set up. I'm wondering, like, on that Willowbrooke concept, Willowbrooke North we were just talking about, like in that area, is that something that maybe we could buy, like a portable set of disc golf? It'd be less expensive than maybe.
I think it'd be more, that disc golf takes a lot of room. It is an actual 9 or 18 hole golf course basically with this basket. So I think it'd be better off towards where our little golf course was. And this is more, like I said, passive. We don't want to actually put, baskets in there for discs.
I'm just
I wouldn't
saying,
think-
that's another sport that,
Yeah.
people are,
Yeah, it's certainly a creative way to not have a permanent amenity, but have,
Yeah.
have
I wanted to.
more features in our park system. So it's something we can look into for other parks or this park.
yeah, I didn't mean it had to be right there.
Oh, yeah, sure. Great.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Hannah.
you.
Appreciate it. Good job.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. I couldn't make it to the Commons dedication. So the following week, I went out to the park and just wandered around and talked to people. And it was like, wow. I mean, people were really impressed. And I think part of it too is just, a lot of the things too then for older kids to do. And they love that sprint area, kind of the football. They love that thing. I was amazed how busy it was, people going back and forth for it. And I was also amazed how far some of these people came to go to the park. I mean, I was talking to people from Roseville and farther west than that. And so it was really quite a draw, and people were really impressed. And I was really impressed. So I think kudos. It's a terrific place.
I'm just going to go off of this. It's probably for Andy and now Carrie. Usage fees for people not in Oakdale. If they're going to be coming in from Roseville and Northfield and Little Falls to use our fields, what are we going to do with, they're tearing them up. Something you guys might want to look into. All right. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you for the comments
Thanks,
on
Hannah.
Willowbrook Commons.
And that was a nice event, ribbon cutting for Willowbrook.
Thank you.
Was. And I'll just kudos to Hannah and Jonathan. They did a great job with that park. You guys really, they spent a lot of time on it and did a phenomenal job. So as I stated, I think at our meeting a month ago, we're lucky to have them on board to do the other two too. So great to work with.
Guys, excellent job.
Jeff also played a
I didn't do
massive
anything.
role, so thank you, Jeff.
I yell at kids up there now. That's all I am.
All right. Great. That's great. Wonderful. Moving on. Staff, Jeff, you want to take?
Yeah.
Take
I
the
miss
wheel.
Julie. I'm like, I got to learn shorthand here. What? She shouldn't be allowed off on Tuesdays here. I'll just thank you. Good evening, commissioners. I'll just touch on what Parks crews right now. Last 2-3 weeks, we've been cleaning all the parks, going through. Took a little hiatus last week. We were here decorating, putting lights up for the upcoming holiday season. So that took a couple days, 3 or 4 days to get that done. Cleaning parks, and then a couple of the crew, we've been attending some upcoming plowing and winter training. We've got another class tomorrow. All the crews attend a half day of training with Matt Williams from Street Soup. We go through all the plow routes. We got a couple new people that have been moved up into routes, so they get training on all that. We sit down and go through all that and what our plan is for the winter, which I wish it was like last year, but I don't think it's going to be. So we'll have to wait and see. But temporary warming houses should be in place possibly by next week, early next week at Eastside and Walton. It could be the following week. With that being a holiday week, it might not happen. So those should be in place. And the last thing I have is an update on the lighting project. I reached out to them. Materials have all been delivered to the installer. They are now, and this was part of the original plan, they are going to wait until the ground freezes now. We had a really good window in October where it was dry, and with the equipment was delayed from the weather down south, from the hurricanes. A lot of it came from down there, and the size of the trucks that they have to put on these fields, they don't want to damage the fields and the irrigation, so it makes sense. And this was from the get-go that if it got late into the year, they would just wait till it freezes. So it'll actually be better for them and better for us in the long run. So other than that, with that said, I'll stand for any questions. I really don't have a whole lot more. So we're just prepping for the upcoming season and probably be down in the 20s next week. We could be flooding some rinks. So,
All right.
yeah,
Let's go.
Right.
Let's go. Let's
yeah. Strap on the skates.
If I have a question about the plow route that goes by my house, is it
Yep.
Matt that I would talk to?
Yeah, you would call Matt, or I can answer that. We are going to fill your driveway in, just so you know.
I'll talk to you after.
We
then.
plow curb to curb. Kidding. But yeah, I can be happy to answer your question on that. Yeah. Okay, if there's no more questions, I'll move on to Julie's thesaurus here and read that. Recreation update. Julie has here the number one, the community walk recap. The 2024 community walk. It was a success this year, running April through October. There were 186 walkers registered for the program. 80 completed the max 150 miles. And congratulations to all walkers. Their goals, if they walked 25 miles, they got a choice of an Oakdale branded item. If they walked 100 miles, they've got the Oakdale branded item and a 100-mile Club Big Frog t-shirt. And if they did the max 150, the choice of the Oakdale branded item, 100-mile Club Big Frog t-shirt and a 150-mile Club sweatshirt. So it's pretty neat to see that a lot of people are involved in that. Next item on the board is the pumpkin carving contest. Congratulations to the following winners of the pumpkin carving contest. Submissions were voted on during the flashlight pumpkin hunt that was held a few weeks back. The best was called Aloha. The spookiest was called Pass the Pop, Candy Corn, and Pumpkin Trash. So that's what Julie's got written here. I had sort of sad. It started raining at like 5 o'clock the night she had it up there, so a lot of it was moved inside. So sort of felt bad for the young kids, but it still worked out. It was a good success. Next on the board is the Discovery Center Indoor Market. The annual indoor market will kick off on Saturday, November 16th. Look for 20-plus vendors each week with live music and the popular raffle basket drawing each market. The market runs,
Not the 16th.
what did I say?
I thought you said November 16th.
It says Saturday, November 16th. That's what she's.
Oh, the end of, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were on the next one.
Yep, no, look for 20-plus vendors each week, live music, and the popular raffle basket drawing each market. The market runs select Saturdays, concluding on March 22nd. For more information, you can go to the oakdaleminnesota.gov website, /500/indoor market. The Art Discovery Fair, there were 22 local artists will participate in the Oakdale Art Discovery Fair, taking place Saturday, November 23rd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Live music will be performed by Jules Music from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. There will be painting, cards, artificial floral jewelry, fiber creations, mandala rocks, glass art, pottery, woodworking, candles, and more will be available to purchase for anybody that's attending. Santa's mailbox. The Santa letter collection boxes will be placed at the Discovery Center and City Hall between December 2nd and December 15th. After we forward the letters to the North Pole, all children will receive a personalized letter from Santa. So it'd be great to, if you can get that. The kids, I know, love it. It's pretty successful. So, and Steve, you can even put one in there too. They'll send you a letter.
I'm
So.
trying to do the Santa.
I see that. The Santa Fire Truck, the Recreation and Fire Department continue to partner on the annual Santa Truck event. A fire truck framed with lights, and of course Santa will make its way down Hadley Avenue on Wednesday, December 11th from 6 to 7:35 p.m. The truck will begin at the North Fire Station with selected stops along the way for candy cane giveaways. Look for the official Santa stop signs along that route, and it can be found on the Oakdale City's website. Next up is the Snow Sculptures Contest. The department will accept photo entries through March 31st. This year's theme is Favorite Sport. The winning snow sculpture will receive a winter-themed goodie basket. Last year, we weren't too successful on the snow sculpture thing. So this year, hopefully haven't. So Winter Wonderland, the upcoming Winter Wonderland event will be held on Saturday, December 21st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Always one of their biggest events. Over 1,000 participants attended this event last year. Activities will include Visit with Santa, horse-drawn hay rides from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., the Dogs of Winter, there will be a petting zoo, a candy cane hunt, a bonfire with s'mores, breakfast and lunch, holiday face painting, holiday crafts provided by the Oakdale Library, and gingerbread house contest. There will also be, the partners include the Oakdale Area Chamber of Commerce and the First Resource Bank. It's a huge event. It's always attended very well. So make sure you get up to that. That would be on December 21st from 9 to 1. Holiday cookie class. Love and Butter Bakery will host another holiday cooking decorating class at the Discovery Center on Monday, December 2nd from 6 to 8 p.m. Participants will learn how to professionally design and decorate holiday cookies. Gingerbread house contest. The department is again accepting submissions December 19th and 20th for our annual gingerbread house contest. Houses will be voted on during our Winter Wonderland event. Prizes will be awarded for top youth and top adult entries. Snowshoe rentals. Daily snowshoe rental will be available at the Discovery Center beginning December 22nd, pending snow conditions. Rentals are $6 for 2 hours. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Saturday, 12 to 3:30 p.m., Sundays, 1 to 3:30 p.m. Reservations recommended for groups of 6 or more people. Ice rink attendance. The department is currently taking applications for ice rink attendance. The season will run late December through February, weather permitting. And last would be skating rinks and warming houses. Our rinks are scheduled to open late December, weather permitting, and the warming houses and rinks are located at Walton and Eastside Park. Hours are Monday through Friday, 4 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 8 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 7 p.m. Rink rentals are also available during select hours. So that's all I had. If you stand for any questions, I'll try and answer them for Julie, or any comments?
Questions, comments?
No, all good?
Thank you.
Thanks,
Cool.
Jeff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, commissioner updates. Jan, let's start with you. Okay.
All I'll say is regarding our Wellness 50+, you can always look in the Oakdale update. There's a page for fall and winter. It's page 14, and just see what we have going on, and please attend. We have a lot of fun things and some really good things to learn about or participate in. Yeah. So.
Perfect. Thanks. Glenn?
It's really all I have to say is, again, congratulations to Carrie. And we're going to miss you, and but our loss is the city council's gain.
There you go.
So congratulations.
All right, thanks. Mark?
I know we had talked about having a meeting at the warming houses, but with no meeting now till February. I'm suggesting that maybe we just divide and conquer, maybe in January, just go as a presence and talk to people. So maybe we want to talk about that.
Yep.
Via email or whatever,
Yep.
so.
I was going to bring that up. Yep, thanks.
Good idea.
I guess the only thing I have is, I mentioned earlier, I went to the market this past Saturday, and there was live music, and I don't know if that's planned for every market, but it was a nice addition to the market, so.
I agree. I've been to some of the events when there's live music, and it does make it feel more
Yeah, it's
quaint,
not so
cozy.
stale, and yeah, a
Yeah.
little more cozy. That's a good word.
Thank you. And I was too gonna, so if you don't know what we're talking about, Carrie was elected to our city council. Congratulations. And now her and Andy are fighting who can be our liaison here, so that's always good that they like us. And again, with the park tour, the rink tour, I will put out, can I email these in the new, email the other commissioners, or is that against the meeting deals and all that stuff? Remember that whole thing we went through, so. But,
a quorum kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I will, I'll put out, because I think, I was just gonna say the same thing, and maybe we can, once they open up, we'll hit it in a night and get everybody there, and Mark will bring hot chocolate, so.
I got access to it.
All right, all right. Okay, very good. I think that's what I had. Oh, and it's just for people watching now that we do have an opening now on the commission. So please put your hat in the ring per se, as they say, and get on the commission. And evidently you can walk up the the stairs to be on the council in no time. Very good. Anyway, let's appreciate everybody. Let's go to the council. Councilman Markham, welcome.
Sure. Thank you very much. And Commissioners, thank you for your feedback on these parks. This has been a long process over the past year. Willowbrooke Commons is beautiful. Like Glenn had said, everyone's really excited about it, but there's more work to do. And if we don't get the feedback from everybody, including the commission here, we don't build something that people are excited about. So all of these comments that you made tonight, we take to heart, and I've been taking notes. There's a lot of things to consider, but it's an exciting time for Oakdale, so thank you for all of that. In terms of updates, yep, we got some new council members coming on, and Carrie is one of them. I know the last time I think we appointed, it was Jan and Carrie about the same time. There was more interest in the Parks and Rec Commission than there's been in a number of years. There was a long list. In fact, not everyone who put their name in even got an interview with the council. So it shows how much interest there is in the Oakdale community for serving and taking care of our parks and recreation programming, which is great. Otherwise, Oakdale continues to grow. The update is the 4th Street Bridge is open after a long time. Got to attend a ribbon cutting for Oakdale Commons, which is the 55-plus affordable housing building right behind Hy-Vee. And they're filling up fairly quick, but they still have over 100 spaces available. But I think in the first 6 weeks, they had 30 or 40 people move in, which is great. That's needed in Oakdale. And today, the Harlan, which is off 34th Street by Target, just had their grand opening as an apartment. So lots of good things going, and we're just trying to keep up with police, fire, and public works, all the different aspects of a growing community. So lots going on.
How about LA Fitness? What's happening there?
Good question. I know they've moved out of the building, and it is up for lease by the building owners. But as far as the city council's,
Nothing?
it's a private business, and we hope they lease it soon.
Okay. Questions? Anyone? Concerns?
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Carrie, would you like to come up? No? Yeah, good. All right, very good. Okay, everyone, great meeting. Appreciate it. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
All motion.
Jan, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Mark, all in favor?
Aye.
This commission meeting is adjourned. Our next meeting will be February 18th of 2025 at 6:30. New time is 6:30 in the council chambers. Thank
Is that
you.
because of the appreciation dinner, right?
Excuse me.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
regular.
the
meeting.
meeting is at 7.
Commission meeting is February 18th is what we have on
I
here.
think
So anyway, we'll get back. Have a good night. She's got it on.